Hey everybody, it's the Phantom Haunter and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we have something very interesting, as this is the unofficial, leaked Haunted Hill Farm 2023 Halloween animatronic lineup. Now, as I said before, this is unofficial, so please don't take all of this as 100% true facts. Take it with a grain of salt. Shoot, maybe even a bucket of salt. The point is, this is all leaks at the end of the day, so anything could change at any point at any time. So we really have no way to know for sure until these get released onto the website. So again, just take this with a little bit of caution, or I guess you could say a grain of salt, as it's not 100% confirmed at this point, but the source I got it from is very trustworthy, and so I trust him. I won't be giving him away in this video, as that's confidential. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So, the first prop on this list is the animated floating skeleton ghost above Tombstone. Now, as you'll see on the video, it actually says Jack-O-Lunger. We'll get to him in a minute. And that's pretty cool that he's returning, but that's not the point of this. This is a return from last year. It's pretty okay. I think it's nothing crazy. You can see the green light and the floating, obviously the floating skeleton. It's a pretty good effect, and it's actually a cool idea because we've seen like ghosts and then skeletons, but we've never really seen a ghost skeleton, let alone one that's floating. So seeing this is actually pretty cool and pretty unique. I think the effect is good and it would look great in a haunt or display. Me personally, I won't be getting it just because it's not my favorite, and there are definitely things on this list that I want much more, which we will get to very shortly here. Next up on the list is the actual animated Jack-O-Lunger by Techie Toys. This is a pretty cool return. It was never one that was my favorite. I think he's pretty cool. He's definitely a fan favorite that I hear a lot of people talk about. He's not, again, my favorite, but I can see why people would want him to come back. And if this is actually true and he is coming back, a lot of people are going to be very happy and be very pleased with this. And I could see why. He lunges forward. He's pretty cool. His design, I love the facial detail. I think that's pretty cool. I love the pumpkin head. I wish he was taller, but I guess in a way he works better like this, so I really can't complain. I mean, overall, he's a pretty cool prop, as much as he's not my favorite. And here we have again another return, being the animated sitting scarecrow with shovel. Again, another Techie Toys prop. A lot of these are Techie Toys, and again, he's returning. He's pretty cool. Again, not my favorite, but I actually really like the idea of him. Like that sitting scarecrow, reskin-esque thing. I think the pumpkin face works really well. I like the shovel. I wish the shovel had more detail. Maybe some blood, maybe something like that. But for what you're getting, he's honestly not bad. Now, something I should mention real quick. I don't know the prices on any of these items, so I won't be going over that. If they get revealed to be true and get put on the website or get leaked, then we will know. But so far, we don't know that information. All we have is the images. But again, he's pretty cool. Next up, we have the Seasonal Visions International Animated Standing Storyteller Witch, or Fortune Teller Witch. This is pretty cool. I don't know if this has been released before, if this is brand new. If it is, it's pretty cool. But I feel like I've seen it before, but I'm not sure. It's a really cool prop. I think I like the purple and black accents on the hat and on the robe. I think it's kind of basic, but it does what it's supposed to do. Fairly decent. I like the ball. I like the white eyes. I hope this thing is good. I mean, it looks like it could be promising, but we'll just have to wait and see. I don't really have much else to say on this particular item. This next prop is probably my favorite prop on this entire ranking list, or list, catalog, whatever you want to call it. This is the Techie Toys animated Lurching Reaper. This thing is definitely on my to get list. If this is official, which I think it is, I'm definitely going to be buying this. This thing is just like one of my favorite Reaper props of all time. I know it's very unpopular and underrated in my opinion. You can see he lurches forward. You can see his height. Again, no price, but honestly, I'm just really excited to get this guy if he's real. If this whole thing is actually legit. This is actually really cool and really awesome, because I've been wanting to get one. I've been trying to get one, and now I can, hopefully. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this guy. Personally, I'm overly excited for him to be returning. Next up on the list is another prop that I'm very excited for, even though I already have him. This is the animated Looming Phantom by Seasonal Visions. This is one of my favorite props of all time, specifically this version, but I think the one with blue eyes from Menards is still the best one, or the hanging one, but that's besides the point. I want to get this and switch it out with my green skull one, as I think the blue skull just looks better, in my personal opinion. I'm so excited they're bringing this back. He's one of my favorite props of all time. The audio is great. The look of it is really cool. It looks creepy. It looks menacing. Not overly creepy, but just enough. It works so well, especially for ambience in the haunt, because of his music that he plays in the background of his phrases. Just overall, very, very awesome to see this guy come back, and specifically to see this version of him return. Up next is yet another Seasonal Visions prop. This is the animated tall Agile. I don't know how to say it. Agile, the Graveyard Ghoul by Seasonal Visions. Pretty cool. I really like this thing. I want to see what it does for sure. I think he looks really awesome. I think it's very interesting. He looks like, kind of like the, I forget his name, but he's from Transworld this year, from Morris Costumes. The Reaper with the tombstone. Again, I forget his name, but he definitely reminds me of that. Same vibe with the chest and everything, and then the skulls on the bottom, the robe, the face. Just overall, really similar and really cool. I'm not going to be getting him, but I think he's really cool for anyone who needs like a Reaper for a cemetery. He definitely fits that. Even in the name it says that, so I overall actually like this guy quite a lot, and I can't wait to see what he does. Next up on the list is yet again 2 Cauldron Witches. The whole Cauldron Witch trio idea continues to be remade and remade. It is 2 witches this time, but nonetheless, it's still the same overused thing that we've seen 1,000 times before. Next up on the list has got to be one of the most returned props of all time. These are the Cauldron Witch. This is the Cauldron Witch trio by Seasonal Visions. I have nothing to say on this. You've already seen it 1,000 times before. Look at it again, reskinned once again. Moving on. So for the 3rd time in a row, we have a witch with a cauldron. At least this one's actually different in that it's just one witch with a cauldron. I'm kind of actually interested to see what this one does. I think witches have potential to be really good, especially with cauldrons, if done right. But they just never seem to hit the mark for some reason. It's always a little bit off. This definitely reminds me of the Seasonal Visions Cauldron Creep that was released a while back. And so I think it's a cool one, and I want to see what it does. I don't really have much else to say besides that. Next up we have, I don't even know, what is this thing? This hunched over, hunchback witch. This thing is complete garbage. Oh my. Just no. Next up, we have to have what is the worst thing. This has got to be the worst thing on this entire lineup. This is the animated Great Zoltan animatronic Talking Wizard. This is an obvious reskin, or not reskin, I mean rebrand, rip-off, whatever you want to call it, of the Home Depot Wizard, which was actually really good. They didn't even try to hide it. This is pathetic. Like, even for Haunted Hill Farm, this is absolute garbage. Next up, we have kind of a weird one, because I don't really like it, but at the same time, I don't hate it. So, this is the animated Marcia shaking, talking voodoo swamp witch. So, I just want to see what this thing does. I mean, it says shaking, but I want to see if it's actually decent. I want to see what the audio sounds like, because that's really the determining factor for this thing. That has a really ugly green robe. Like, why does it have to be so neon bright? Like, that's what I don't like about it, is the robe is just too neon. It's too bright. It's not, like, creepy. It's not dark or anything. I think, like, if they did what Swamp Hag had, where it was, like, a dark green with, like, black accents, I think that would have been a lot better. And since the last prop was about a voodoo witch, what better to go with your voodoo witch than whatever this thing is? Skeleton Groom. The dollar store version of Terry the Clown, whatever you want to call it. This thing is, I don't really know what this thing is, to be honest. It's just kind of out there. I don't really have an opinion on it, other than why. Now, this next one is actually something I'm quite looking forward to seeing what it actually does. This is the animated floating, hanging ghost heads of Halloween, forgotten current, and hereafter, with blue glowing lights for scary decorations. So, I actually like this idea. It's very unique. I don't think we've seen anything like it before, and it's awesome. It looks really cool. Like, obviously, we've seen the hanging ghosts. I have one from Jemmy with the blue bar light. But I mean, like, with the 3 heads that are different, like, that represent different things. I think this is actually a pretty cool idea, and I actually want to see how it's pulled off, because this could be really cool if they do it how they're supposed to, and do it right. Next up is actually a pretty cool prop, because this one is the hanging, shaking mummy. This is actually pretty cool in my opinion, because we don't see a lot of mummies now. Well, we've seen, like, the 12-foot one, the 8-foot one, and, like, the generic hanging ones, but I'm just interested to see what this one does, because this one is pretty big, it looks like, or at least it's decently sized, so I'm excited to see, like, what it does and how it looks. Probably won't be getting it, but it's still just a cool prop nonetheless. We definitely need to see more mummies, and, as Haunt Former would say, more aliens, more sci-fi, stuff like that. This thing is garbage, complete, total trash. Look, this thing is yet another Nightcrawler ripoff. It's like they can't get enough of it. Just, let's rip off Nightcrawler again and again and again. And this time, this has got to be the worst one I've ever seen. This thing is garbage. I do not recommend this to anybody with half of a brain cell. So, next up on the list is, how do you pronounce this name? Grimaldi? Grimaldi, the animated shaking talking clown. So he's alright. I don't really have anything to say about him, just because he's very basic, very cheap, very Sunstar, obviously. So don't really have that much to say, other than he's a clown. He looks not great, to be honest with you, but I mean, if you want him, he's there. Next up, we have yet another terrible ripoff. Again, not surprising by Sunstar, but still, this thing is trash. This is the Harriet Hustle, or not Harriet Hustle, I mean Henry Hustle, my bad. Henry Hustle ripoff. This thing, it's obvious. It has the cards and everything. Heckle and Hyde animatronic. Even the name starts with H. Both his first and last name starts with H. Henry Hustle. Heckle and Hyde. Next up is Checkers, the Talking Clown. Now this one actually seems kind of interesting, and I'm definitely interested to see what he does, like his audio and stuff, because it actually is kind of cool how he's standing on a box instead of just standing on his own. And I wish we saw more props like this, especially with the Stilts the Clown prop that should have had stilts, in my opinion, and a lot of other haunters' opinion. But anyway, that's besides the point. This thing is alright. Not the best, not the worst. I don't actually hate this thing. Next up, we have Joe, Blimey, and Noggin. Again, very interesting concept with the multiple heads representing multiple things, or multiple names at least. I think this is pretty cool. I can't wait to see what it does. It's not the best quality-wise, but I think the idea is definitely cool. And just like the Hanging Ghost, I want to see how this turns out. Now, obviously, I do think the Hanging Ghost was better, but this one definitely looks like it could be interesting. Although it says Twisting Pirate, it really doesn't look like a pirate. It looks like a Reaper. But I mean, if you squint your eye hard enough, I guess you could see it. Again, it's okay. Bro, what in the Davy Jones is this? No, seriously, this is kind of interesting. This is the Captain Dreadful animatronic shaking pirate. Again, it doesn't look like a pirate at all, in my opinion, except for the hat. But even the hat doesn't look very piratey. But it's not terrible. Again, I want to see what it does. I don't like it as much as the last one, but it's there if you want to get it. If you need, like, a pirate or just a filler prop. A lot of these are just filler props for, like, I could see someone getting one of these for a scene or something. If they needed just a prop in a corner or something, I could see that. But other than that, these are definitely not show star, like, main attention setter props. Okay, so next up is this animated dragon, and I think Nightwing, and I think this definitely had potential, but it just doesn't look good. Like, the wings are too small. He doesn't have the stature of a dragon. It's just like, it could have been really good, but they just butchered it, in my opinion. Like, you can see there's potential here. Dragon animatronics are really cool if they're done correctly, and I think this one definitely had potential, but it just wasn't executed. It was executed poorly. Like, it wasn't executed as good as it could have been and should have been. This thing can go die. Sunstar, what are we even doing anymore? What is this? This next one is kind of interesting. It's the Morel, the animated skeleton in box with movement, sounds, light up eyes. This thing is kind of interesting. Again, it's kind of that idea of a Reaper. I guess this one's in a box. I don't know why Sunstar likes Reapers so much, because all their stuff looks like Reapers. This one's okay. I really kind of want to see what it does first, or if it just does what it looks like it does. Like, I thought at first when I saw it, it was going to jump out of the box, and that would have been really cool, but no. It just kind of stands there, half in the box, half out of the box, so very basic, very boring, but not, I guess, terrible. Next up is the Blythe, the floating, talking zombie girl. This one is okay, I guess. It really doesn't look like a zombie, in my opinion. It looks more reminiscent of, like, a doll. If you wanted to use this as a doll, I'd say it's pretty cool. It's actually, the face is pretty creepy. The face is really creepy, actually, now that I'm looking at it. That's pretty much all it's got going for it, really. So, good facial detail. Wish the rest of the prop had as much detail. Next up is Giggles, the giggling zombie girl. Again, very basic, very generic. Doesn't look like a zombie to me. Pretty interesting. I don't know why the head lights up like that. It kind of looks weird, in my opinion. But I mean, hey, it's there. I really don't have much to say on this. So there you have it, the entire Haunted Hill Farm 2023 animatronic lineup. Again, don't know if it's official or not. Take all this video with a grain of salt. And remember, keep haunting my Reaper army. And I'll catch you in the next one.